church won't touch. The Christian Theological Dark Web Podcast.
Good evening, Dark Web Theologians and Four Dragon friends. This is going to be our repeat for the intro today, but that's okay. We are actually logging back on again. We had just started without recording, even though we thought we were recording. I thought I was recording anyway. Guys, welcome back. We are here in the lair, and I am hanging out with Austin tonight. We are -1 on the podcast at the moment. No worries. Shelly was like, you know what, dude, just do it. I was like, are you really sure, Shelly, you want me to continue without? And she said, absolutely. She's like, I know zero to hero about Asia, Japan, and the rest of the eastern portion of the seaboard on the Asian side. It's like, all right, sounds good. We'll rock it then. This is a favorite and a near and dear subject to Austin's heart. And your favorite, right? I would say probably your favorite thing to talk about as far as fringe Japanese stuff goes.
Dude, I eat this stuff up. Like, people think I'm so weird, which they would think I was weird anyway. But I mean, this is the cherry on top of the proverbial Sunday.
Nail on the coffin.
Yep, literally almost.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, literally, right? We're kind of going that way. So, guys, tonight we are talking about these Japanese ghosts, also known as Yūrei, and I think it's Linghui in Chinese. I can't remember off the top of my head. Somebody might speak Chinese out there and be like, no, Ricky, it's not that. Please tell me. Let me know. I don't remember. So we are going to be talking about just a ton of phenomenon that Austin knows about, and also known as Shy Guy. If you follow him on Facebook on the big FB, I'm going to let him kind of take the reins. I don't have anywhere in particular. I'm sure that we'll banter back and forth. It's going to be a good chat. We both have a large swath of knowledge about the Eastern Asian seaboard, so it'll be good. Austin, dude, take it away. First and foremost, tell us how we can get a hold of you, where to look for you.
Well, if you want to, you can find my meme page on Facebook, which is Shy Guy Theological Seminary. I'm not on there right now till Easter Sunday because I'm taking a little break from social media for Lent.
Love it.
Eating my fish sandwiches, on Fridays, kind of sucked. I really wanted chicken, but you can find me there.
It's the fish of the sea.
Yeah, I can have shrimp, I think.
That's a good.
I don't know. It's my first month being Catholic, so.
Oh yeah,
there's
wow,
that.
That's wild. Hey man, I've said it before. Congrats, dude. It's funny you were talking about this. I know this is a little off subject, but I think it's cool. I was thinking about it today, and I was like, I wonder when they're going to get confirmed. I should ask him when he's going to get confirmed, and then we should have a party for him. Like, that's super cool. And full disclosure, guys, I mean, I'm not Catholic, and I have a lot of reasons that I just don't think I could be. But I think that it's really cool that, insofar as there's nothing that opposes what the Lord is doing, I don't think that we should. I not only don't think we should bash other Christians. I would say it's biblical to not bash other Christians. Healthy, honest discussion and disagreement is fine, but it is not cool to hate on each other and dunk on each other, especially when the only way we're known as the church is the way we love each other. So anyway, I was thinking about your confirmation. I was like, dude, we should do a confirmation party. That'd be cool.
Hey man, that's really nice of you. That's very thoughtful. But one thing that I do want to point out, and I know we're kind of getting off on the rabbit trail here.
That's all good.
Everybody's journey to a relationship with God looks different.
Yep.
That's biblical. That's biblical. God came to different people in different ways. You have Moses and the burning bush. You have Noah, where there's this big, as far as we know, booming voice in the sky. You got the what was it? Was it Elijah? Yeah, it was Elijah. He wasn't in the fire, he wasn't in the earthquake, he wasn't in the wind, he was in a whisper, a still small voice. So our journey of faith, no matter who we are, is always going to look a little bit different from the next person.
Yep.
And this just so happens to be where God has placed me. I mean, it's still some stuff I don't understand.
Yeah.
But I feel at peace. So this is where I'm going to camp out for a while. And if the Lord so moves me, I mean, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what, man? I mean, I'm not supposedly sure, I'm very sure, most of Judah hated Jeremiah, and he was just doing what he was told, dude. He's like, I'm just following orders, bro. So I get it, man. I get it. I commend you, bro. It's a hard thing to do, but you got to be honest to yourself and be honest before the Lord. You got to answer to anybody else but him. So, there's that.
Right. And nothing done in pure faith is useless to God. Nothing.
It's all about intention. I've been saying that over and over. All right, guys, I won't keep you guys anymore. We're going to get right down to business. Austin, where do you want to take us tonight, bro?
Well, let's talk about the word Yūrei. Okay. So, because it's a little hard to understand over the computer and the airwaves, it's pronounced, in Japanese, it's pronounced Yūrei. But if we Anglicized it, it would be Yūrei. So that's spelled Y-U-R-E-I, Yūrei. And the kanji in the Japanese language that makes up this word translates to something like dim or faint, like a dim light, and soul. So you've got a faint soul or a dim soul. And to me, that makes it sound creepier than ghost or ghoul or what have you. You have a dim soul or a faint soul or spirit. That's a little creepy to me.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
And usually, whenever you see a Yūrei, whether it's in a video game, in a piece of artwork, or even a movie, you're pretty much going to know exactly what you're looking at because they're key characteristics. And I mean, this has been from the Sengoku era up through the Meiji period, even till today. If you see a Yūrei, you're going to know what you're looking at because they're depicted as having usually long, disheveled, stringy hair. They're going to be wearing a white kimono, which is what Japanese people in ancient times, and maybe even today, I've never been to a Japanese funeral, they're buried in a white kimono. I guess it's supposed to mean purity of the soul or something like that. They don't have any feet. So if you see a beautiful painting of a woman and she don't have feet, she's dead. She's a ghost.
That's interesting.
Usually you can tell by their hands too. Their hands are kind of curved in a way. I don't want to say like zombie hands, but just like lifeless and, just kind of dangling there.
Yeah.
And sometimes in artwork, you'll see them accompanied by what are called hitodama, which are basically orbs of light or fireballs that are meant to represent
Hito, like
soul.
Like person? Hito?
Yeah. Originally, the term meant just a regular soul. Like somebody's soul was a hitodama. But eventually they kind of took on another meaning, and they're just like fireballs or, light anomalies that accompany some kind of supernatural experience. So you'll see them in a lot of paintings and cartoons and things like that. If a person's a ghost, you'll usually see little balls of fire kind of floating around them doing their thing.
That's particularly interesting about the no feet thing. When you said that, the first thing that came to mind was blessed are the feet that bring the gospel, the message of the gospel. Yeah, you can't really bring the gospel to the dead. I mean, I guess you can, but it's not going to serve them much use being on the other side already. Yeah.
Right. Well, there's a symbolism there too. If a person is floating there in midair, they have no connection to the earth anymore.
Correct. Oh, good point.
There's a gap there. So there's some symbolism there for sure.
Wow, that's cool, man. That's really interesting. So so you guys kind of have the idea. There are some similarities, obviously, right, between Eastern and Western ideas of ghosts. But I would say, and I'm actually drawing blank right now, but I know that there's some clear distinctions. Can you think of a few that you would be able to share that are really, different, just like kind of markedly different?
Well, usually if
I put you on the spot,
you've got a ghost coming at you in Japan,
yeah,
you've probably pissed it off. just to be blunt. Like a lot of these spirits that appear are usually what are called Onryō. Now, there's different types of Yūrei.
What did you call it? Onryō?
Onryō. It would be spelled Onryo. So Onryō.
Oh, that's interesting.
But just like we in America have different categories for ghosts or spirits, we've got poltergeist, we've got revenants, we've got apparitions, we've got, what do they call it? Residual hauntings, things like that. In Japan, they have their own categories for this type of phenomena. And if you're okay with it, man, let's launch right into some of these.
Please.
And, how they kind of distinguish themselves.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
So the first one that you're going to find is, like I said, Onryō. These are vengeful spirits. These are the ones that are dangerous. Like this is the one you do not want haunting your house. I mean, you don't want any of them haunting your house, but especially not this one. They're vengeful because usually in life they've been wronged. Maybe they got jilted, left at the altar. They could have been murdered. They were outcast. They're very vindictive spirits. And at the risk of sounding, insensitive, a lot of these Onryō are women. There are exceptions, but the vast majority are women. If you've seen the movie The Grudge, or Ju-on as it's known in Japan, that's classic Onryō. She was murdered. Her child was murdered. So now they're in this house and they're going after people. That's classic Onryō.
Very Lilithy. Yeah. That's interesting. Almost always females. Well.
Yep.
Okay. What are some
in artwork? They're really featured, which I know from somebody that likes to draw myself. I don't really know what it is, but I've always enjoyed drawing women more so than men. So maybe it's just an artwork thing. I don't know.
Well, I mean, dudes are not really all that appealing to dudes, and women just look prettier anyway, right? I think so. That obviously makes sense. I mean, in fact, this is a little bit tangenty. I'm not trying to go there, but I think that's why we see a lot of, even in like apparitions and stuff, and I'm not necessarily just talking about ghosts. I'm talking about like any kind of spiritual phenomenon. A lot of times the most seductive of types are usually female types, right? They're not.
Yep.
I mean, there's a few exceptions like Dracula and stuff like that, but for the most part, it's usually female in orientation.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's one of those tropes that transcends culture and transcends geographic boundaries.
Yeah. And and also, the ancient world, the feminine represented chaos, right? Like that was part and parcel, darkness, chaos, anarchy for that matter. It was the opposite of order, which was represented with the masculine. I don't know if trope is the word, but just archetype, I guess is a better word to say.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I've never put that together, but yeah, that's definitely it, man. I mean,
yes. I mean, that's one of the things actually I've seen. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. You go ahead.
I should say that's one of the things I've seen that's archetypal across cultural boundaries. Like you'll see that a lot. And so, I mean, even if we look at like the classical understanding of like the yin and yang, right? The yin is always associated with the feminine, the darkness, and just to clear the air before everybody starts assuming that, like that we're talking about Star Wars. That's not the way yin and yang works in ancient Asian, especially Chinese in particular, philosophy. It's not that way at all. It's very,
sorry, college kids.
Yeah, no kidding. George Lucas, we're going to take that back. Thank you. It really, that concept is they're complements one to the other. And that's a rabbit hole we're not going to go down. But yeah, anyway, I mean, we can see that those archetypes actually do play out even in Asia. I mean, they're very like, what would be the word, like kind of fundamental, like bedrock type stuff in the human psyche and in the human experience, for all of history, really,
Right.
Yeah.
You're exactly right, man. And I'm with you. I don't want to get on a rabbit trail, but yeah,
I will.
definitely, man. Well, let's move on to the next category because it kind of goes along with what we're talking about. So the next category are what are known as Ubume. Ubume. This would be spelled Ubume. Ubume. These are mother spirits. So these are women that died in childbirth. And
Golly.
honestly, this is a sensitive topic even for me as a man. So, I mean, if you can't handle this, you might want to skip ahead, 10, 15 minutes. But in Japanese culture, if a woman died before she had her baby, it was customary to cut the baby out of her womb and to wrap the baby in a hug with the mother and bury them both.
Whoa.
In some regions, if they couldn't do that, they would put a doll beside the mother before they buried her. Now, there are various legends and tangents about these spirits, but one of the most popular tropes that you see come about is you're in a crowd, you're at a festival, or even just out at the park one night, and you see a mother with a baby, and she says, "Hey, can you hold my baby, for 5-10 minutes?" Wow. And the person, will hold the baby, and by all leaps and bounds, it's a regular baby. And then they'll watch the mother just disappear into the darkness, just like completely vanish. And it's at that point they realize, wait a minute, this is heavier than a baby. They look down and they're holding either a rock or one of the Jizo statues like we talked about in the first podcast. So yeah, that's another one that you hear a lot about.
That, I mean, so we talked about this in the last episode, and if you guys are watching this right now and you haven't watched the episode we did just about phantoms, apparitions of ghostly figures, ghosts, and we go into a lot of detail just about what ghosts are, not even from a Japanese perspective, just from, just kind of just like any random bystander perspective. We're just kind of looking at what the phenomenon is and everything. Oh man, I just lost my train of thought. What did you just say? Oh crap. I have to edit.
It was a Jizo statue that they found.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So it's very difficult, and I've told you this before, but it's in my mind, these kind of things are on a case by case basis. Like you can't, you can't just assume that one size fits all for all these phenomena. I don't think that is either helpful or practical for any sense of purpose.
I don't think so either. I mean, not everything is demonic in nature. I think we give the devil way too much credit. Yeah. Way too much credit.
I agree, and I think these kind of things can definitely be spirits that have passed on. I really do believe that.
Oh yeah,
I mean, we have examples of this, right? But what comes to mind when you mention this in particular, anytime there's a spiritual interaction where you're given something, or there's something that especially when you receive something, golly, dude, when you receive something or you allow something, that is symbolic of spiritual contractualism. Yep. And so I'm really curious about, I mean, wow, I don't even know what to say about that. That actually does sound very demonic, that particular interaction. Yeah. Not the loss of the child or any of those things. And I think we might even be able to separate those two, right? Like you might be able to have the case where the mother does die and, there is like this lingering, in this case, right, set of spirits, which is a questionable topic as well, because the baby would have it would be a sinless creature essentially. But anyway, I think that, I'm pretty convinced that demonic or dark forces can prey on that, on that tragedy, right? And mimic and imitate all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
I heard a priest, Catholic priest, describe it like this: what happens is you have a tragedy, or something really bad happens in a place or to a person, and what that does is that affects the spiritual realm in that spot.
Oh, certainly.
and the enemy is like a shark smelling blood. He can smell that. And what he does is he goes into that area and he latches onto it like a glove. And then it's the deliverance minister, the exorcist, whatever have you, that has to come in and basically strip that evil spirit off of that territory that it's claimed.
Yeah. As soon as you mentioned that, you know, the giving of the baby, like instantly, what I thought of was Vicky Joy. I mean, I'm sure you've seen that episode. She talks at length about, you know, contractual agreements and thresholds and stuff like that. And this is a type of threshold offering, even, right? And if you receive it, I mean, we see this trope also, right? Just in regular Western culture, and what comes to mind is Snow White, right, with the apple, right? The moment that she received it, that was when Snow White contractually was given over to this spiritual fate, we'll call it, right? Yeah.
That's
Anyway.
Exactly it, and that's heavy
Keep going,
too.
bro.
That's heavy.
It is. You just reminded me, dude. I almost can't continue. Check out my fancy Lego bamboo.
Oh, dude, that is awesome.
So I'm gonna put it right here so everybody can see it.
Yes, dude. Display that with pride. That is epicness.
Isn't that awesome? Okay, cool. Now you can continue. Sorry, buddy.
It's all good. Let's move on to the next category, man.
Yeah.
I think you'll appreciate this one.
Okay.
So the next category is Goryō, and this would be spelled in English as Goryo.
Goryō.
Yeah. And basically it translates to something like noble soul or noble spirit. This is exactly what they sound like. These are warriors or noblemen that usually have died in battle. And what's really cool about these types of spirits is they're sometimes elevated to the rank of kami or god.
Whoa.
Yeah, usually a minor god. The story that sticks out to me the most is probably the story of Tenjin. And he had a name before he became Tenjin, and it escapes me what it was.
Okay.
I think he was one of the nobles in the imperial court at Kyoto. I guess this was during the Heian period. But anyway, he was basically swindled out of his position, and he was banished. And while he was in exile, he died. But after his death, there was a meeting between all of the conspirators that had, sought to get him banished. And lightning struck the capital city at that exact room where all of those people were meeting and killed every single one of them.
Oh, wow.
No holds barred, just like
scorched earth.
Yep.
Whoa.
So he definitely ended up, I guess the emperor or the powers that be, once they saw that, they were like, this guy has power and we need to appease him. So usually that's what this is. It's kind of like a peace offering between the spirit and the people, like, hey, we see you, you're cool, Mr. I'm gonna strike you with lightning, you know what, you're God now, dude. Let's build you a shrine. So that's usually what happens. And Tenjin is one of the kami of thunder and lightning.
Oh wow, that's interesting. He's a Raiden dude. What do you just what are your thoughts on apotheosis? I mean, because that's basically what we're talking about. Like it's low key apotheosis.
You're gonna have to refresh my memory.
Oh, sorry. So apotheosis just means like ascending to godhood. That's all it means.
Well, as a Catholic, and this is my perspective. We have the saints,
right?
We don't believe that they have power they themselves, but just like God works through humans that are earthside, He works through our departed loved ones and the saints on the other side.
Right.
So when it talks about like in heaven, we'll serve God and we'll worship God.
Yeah.
My personal line of thinking and how I reconcile, the veneration and, talking to the saints and praying with the saints is that each person is maybe, and I mean like reform bros are going to come at me hard, but this is just me, you know, kind of
Yeah.
rationalizing.
Spitballing. You're good, man.
Maybe in some way they're given dominion or some kind of authority as a believer, as someone that is in the presence of God. And what we have to understand is when you're in the presence of God, you're everywhere. You're outside of time and space. So that removes the need for, you know, like, well, how can you be in two places at once? That doesn't exist. Laws of physics are out the window.
Sure.
So perhaps in serving God in heaven or in the spiritual realm, whatever you want to call it, perhaps we are given some kind of dominion over something, even if it's watching over a family member. You know, we always like to say, well, my great grandma is watching over me.
Sure.
That's some kind of dominion. That's some kind of power.
Yeah.
Not that you have, but that God has given to you.
Sure. It's handed down.
Well, I mean, we talk about earning crowns in heaven.
Yeah.
Well, crowns mean authority.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just rationalizing a lot of this myself.
No, I get you, man. I get you. I didn't expect you to take it that way, but or to take in that direction is what I mean. But I mean, I'm sure we can find some points where we would disagree. But one of the things that you're bringing to mind to me is the fact, and I'll probably get a lot of hate for this too, and I actually kind of don't care because it's accurate.
I need to get to that place.
Well, little by little, bro. We say that, and then when we get all the onslaught, then you're like, oh, I got to deal with what I said now. So, but you know, I mean, that's what the word says. The word says that teachers will be held to a higher standard because their words, they'll have to give an answer for every word. I mean, we'll all have to give an answer for every word, but our words will have even more weight, which is a whole nother podcast. We won't go that way, but literally. But when we leave this mortal frame, we become, when we're fully transformed, we become sons of God.
Yep.
Okay. So, I wasn't expecting to go this way either, but I mean, I asked you, and so since you took it, I was like, well, I guess we're going to go here. I had never really considered this, but apotheosis is traditionally viewed as I work my way to godhood, right? Or there's some kind of thing that I can do to gain godhood, right? It's gain, not receive. And that's very different, right? It's very, very different. And that's actually what I was referring to, but I think it's important to address what you're talking about because when we do become sons of God, and I think that Tim Alberino really, like, he dives in this one hard.
Oh yeah. Tim's good.
He talks about how he doesn't believe that we're currently, how would we say it? We're not currently sons of God, but that's what we're on our way to become. But you know, I mean, as Christ clearly tells us that he calls things that are not as though they were, right? And so for him being this immortal, perfect, impeccable being, sovereign in all ways, like he exists completely outside of time, what we were just talking about. But I'm not really decided personally if I think like here on earth that we're sons of God and or daughters, of course, right? Or if when we our bodies are changed, you know, in the twinkling of an eye, as it were, that we gain that. It's going to sound weird if I say godhood, but I'm going to say Elohimness. That's probably a safer term. But you're right, Austin. Like the word of God tells us that we will judge angels. So, and I know that you know what I'm talking about when Jude lays it out for us, right? Jude is telling us that those that are bound, we're going to judge those dudes, you know, and God's going to put us in charge of the new earth. Like that was always the plan, right? That was always the plan. So I had not thought about it that way, but I would say that apotheosis, well, yeah, I guess it kind of does exist, except it's not you that's doing the ascension. It's God that's putting you on the place where he wants you to be, right?
Right.
Apotheosis is usually, I think we associate it with a more pejorative term, which is like I was saying, you know, you will ascend to godhood. And that, I think, is the hoodwink, right? I think that's the real trick. That's what the dark side pulls us in with. Oh, don't worry, you know. I mean, really, it goes back to the garden, right? You'll be as gods. You'll be
Yeah.
good. You'll be like God. So
Well, we already were, and that's
right.
that's one of the mysteries, man. I mean, I could honestly, stay on this subject and banter back and forth with you, and we may have to do that, one of these days.
Anytime, man. Anytime you want.
I'm telling you, dude.
I didn't mean to deviate too much. So you were saying,
no, you're good, man. You've actually got my brain going in a million different directions. Let me refocus here.
Yeah, you're good.
All right. So the next category is Funa Yūrei. You want to take a guess what that is?
Funa. Well, I mean, some kind of ghost, but I don't really know because Yūrei is ghost. And and by the way, Yūrei, you said it was like dark, like a dark or dim spirit, right?
Yeah, dim soul or faint soul, something like that.
Oh, right. Ling is soul. That's right.
Yeah. Because I know that like Yūrei is like soul or spirit or something like that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because I don't, because when you say that, every time you say the things in Japanese, I like sometimes they click on my brain, and other times I'm like, when I see the characters, I'm like, oh, I know exactly what that is. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the rei part in ole, or however you want to say it in Japanese, that's the ling, which is the soul. That's what means soul or spirit or whatever in Chinese as well. But Funa, I feel like I should know, but I don't know.
Well, basically, these are sea ghosts or ocean-bound spirits.
Oh, that we talked about these guys a little bit, right?
We did.
Okay.
These are
this is
the
super
ghosts.
Interesting to me, man.
Oh yeah, anything to do with like nautical folklore. Like we need to do an episode on like
freaking
nautical folklore.
Creepy, dude.
I love it, man. I can't get enough of it. My ancestors were seafarers, but that's
really
a topic. Yep, that's a whole nother topic.
Whoa, all right,
it's
cool.
in my DNA.
That's cool.
But these are the ghosts of sailors or people that died at sea. They usually appear on rainy nights or foggy nights. And what they're known to do is they'll actually pop out of the water with a ladle, like a soup ladle. And they'll pour that ladle out into the boat and sink the boat.
Oh, yeah. I remember you talking about these dudes.
Yeah, they want people to join them, basically.
Dang.
Something I just found out that I thought was pretty interesting is sailors would actually take onigiri. Or if you remember the Pokemon anime, those triangular things they call jelly donuts. They would throw those overboard to appease the Funa Yūrei. And I mean, just thinking, like wild. You're out on the ocean at night and you throw an onigiri into the water and you see this dark shape, could be a carp, could be a fish, whatever it is, but all of a sudden it just pulls it under the water. Of course, you're going to think, okay, well, they must be hungry. Let's feed them.
Yeah. Oh, man, I could go for some onigiri right now. Sounds good, actually.
Yep.
Oh, that's crazy. And what is there something that provokes them? Like they just, or it's just kind of one of those things like mermaids, sort of?
From what I understand, they're bound to water. They can appear usually appear at sea, but they've been known to appear in lakes and rivers too. And as best as I can understand their personality and the folklore behind them, is they just want people to have the same fate that they did. So they're trying to basically recruit people. And
man,
it's so funny because like in European nautical folklore, you have like Davy Jones' locker, like he's looking for new crew members, to join his ghostly crew. Like things like that. It's another one of those universal folklore things, man.
That's really interesting. I gotta be honest, I really wish I understood more about the sea and about water. Water is wild, dude. I can't. I don't know if you ever watched that episode, but Shelly and I did an entire episode just on water as portals. We did a whole episode just on water because water. Oh yeah,
you got like the USO phenomenon and things like that.
Yeah, well, we didn't even go there, but that's humongous as well. Orbs coming out of the water, right? All that kind of stuff. But I mean, there's a lot of watery imagery, right? And kind of going back to those archetypes, water was associated with chaos, right? It was also part of that. And I mean, And that's, that's across the ancient world. But I mean, particularly we could talk about, the chaos monster, right? Which is kind of described in Genesis as the waters. And we're not going to go that whole route, but that's really crazy. That's going to have to be something to explore, man, because there's a lot there that I just don't get. I just don't understand. I mean, we're like majority water as humans. Like, so, I don't know. There's a lot there. Anyway, I'll continue your next thing, dude. Go for it.
You're good, man. So moving on, the last type that we're going to talk about, and we're going to talk about them very briefly, is, and Japanese friends, forgive me for, I'm about to butcher this word, but it's Zashiki Warawashi. Zashiki Warawashi. These are household spirits.
Oh,
These
man.
are almost, I don't want to compare them to fairies, but that's kind of what they are. They usually appear as a small child or small person.
Whoa.
And they just cause mischief in the house. Like they might hide something from you. They might move a pillow away from you in the middle of the night. They just cause innocent mischief, pretty much.
The little people.
Yep.
They're like gnomes, dude. That's what that reminds me of.
I mean, pretty much, man. Pretty much. I mean, some Japanese folktales paint them as the spirits of children.
Mm-hmm.
There are some, from what I'm aware of, that paint them as something totally different. That's, beyond time itself. Like these things were never human. They just move into a house and it's theirs. They live kind of
side by side.
Yeah.
I mean, now that you mention it, there's quite a few animes that really deal with that theme a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the soot gremlins and My Neighbor Totoro.
Yep.
The soot balls, yeah.
Yep. Oh, that's interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, I had not thought about that. That's very interesting. It's so weird. You know what's so weird about all of it, dude, is it's all cutified.
Yeah.
Which is bizarre as can be.
Dude, it really is, man. Like, I mean, like the kappa, for instance, like that. The description of that thing, if you saw it in real life, it's demonic.
Yeah.
But it's cutesified. They look like little turtle people, with these big old smiley faces and, little lily pad on their head, and they're mascots. Same thing with the Tengu, with ghosts, things like that. It's they kind of cutesify it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of interplay there too, right? Like It seems like man, this leaves me like kind of back and forth and in my brain about like how the gods try and play things out, because ultimately what they're looking for are two things: worship and power.
Yeah,
that's what they want, right? And any way that they can come across to people as desirable, they're going to do that, and then take whatever they need to and cover their tracks. For the most part, I think that's pretty much their modus operandi, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's about the way they work. But it's weird that in Japan, like almost exclusively in Japan, and certainly in Asian countries, but like particularly in Japan, like there's this obsession with like cutesifying very spiritually charged things. Why do you think that is?
Deception.
I think it's like a coping mechanism, or just
it's pure deception. I mean, it's something behind it. Like I remember being in Higashi Tokorozawa, and there was a Shinto shrine right next to this big. I think it was like I can't even describe what it was. It was a complex, and it was full of like otaku things. It was right up the street from where I was staying. And there was a Shinto shrine right next to it. They were using anime characters and all of these little creatures to get people to come into the shrine.
Sure.
And they were advertising, like for, I don't know what, 50 yen, we'll exercise your car, or we'll do a cleansing on you. Things like that. And I mean, they've got, the little chibi characters, advertising it. I mean, it's deception, dude. I mean, if you if you don't know what's going on in the spiritual world behind that, then you're gonna fall for it.
You know what's particularly nefarious nowadays, dude, is that when you're in more developed countries, everything, there's bells and whistles everywhere,
Yep.
right? I mean, and Japan is particularly like that. God, the Japanese are so unbelievably practical, and just, you know, they make life easy. And I know people don't like this, but when life is easy, like it disconnects us from reality when life is easy. I know that's a weird thing, but
that's a really good segue, actually. And before the show, I think that we were actually kind of talking about this. You really find a lot of these Yūrei stories and spooky folk tales coming about during the Edo period, but very rarely do you hear about ones from before then. Or if you do, they're usually more archaic, more violent in some ways. There's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. During the Sengoku period and the periods prior,
the Warring States,
the Warring States period, death wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when. Like, when was an enemy samurai lord going to charge into our village, cut us down, burn our crops? You know, it was going to happen. It was around you. Like, you could be walking to your friend's village and run across a battlefield where there's corpses rotting in the sun. I mean, it was a natural part of life. And so people really didn't obsess over it. They didn't really want to talk about it. You know, it was like, you know, let's just, you know, kind of put it in the back of our minds and, you know, just kind of forget about it. Well, during the Edo period, Japan was isolated and it was united under a central government with the Tokugawas. So therefore, you know, death almost became this abstract concept. It wasn't something that they really had to face every day. The lifespan was increasing.
So, remind me, bro, the Edo period is kind of what years are we talking, more or less?
1600 to about 1860, I want to say.
Okay, so this is right after the Sengoku period.
Yep, this immediately follows the Sengoku era.
Okay, and I was actually just looking this up just so you guys are aware if you're trying to follow any of this stuff, because I'm a little, I mean, to me, Japanese history is not, I'm not very good with it like I am with Chinese history, but the Warring States period in China is super different than the Warring States period in Japan. So the Warring States period in China is like 475 BC till like 221, which is the Han Dynasty, and the Han Dynasty had like a beginning and an end. Not strangely enough, not ironically enough, but also, yes, ironically enough, right, that like the cutoff between the first Han period and the second Han period is basically Jesus's coming to the earth. So there's that. Yep. but when we're talking about the Sengoku period, which is the Warring States in Japan, this is like 1467 to about 1600, give or take. Yep. So, okay.
And so ironically, this is when the Jesuit missionaries like Francis Xavier, this was the Christian century in Japan. This is when you had Japan
1460 to about 1600.
Yeah, and I cannot reiterate this enough. Japan was almost a Christian stronghold in Asia.
That's wild.
Like, it was taken off, especially with the samurai class. And what's unique about that is everywhere else where Christianity entered the culture, it entered from the bottom up. It started with the peasants and the lower class and built its way up. In Japan, it was the total opposite. It started with the nobility,
top down,
that really liked the values that were therein, you know, like honor and, you know, tradition and, you know, piety. They really like that. So, I mean, like, dude, you can find old samurai swords with the Ichthus engraved into them, or a crucifix engraved into them. My patron saint, even though he's not a saint yet, is Justo Takayama Ukan, who was a Christian samurai.
What could you clarify what you mean? Qualify that statement. He's not a saint yet. What do you mean by that?
He's beatified. So basically, from what I understand, when a person becomes a saint, they first have to be beatified. That's when they get the title of blessed. So right now he's the Blessed Justo Takayama Ukan. And I'm not really sure what the prerequisites are, but here recently there was actually a millennial who got beatified as a saint. And, you know, he's on his way to sainthood. That's neither here nor there. I don't know enough about it to talk about.
Yeah. Okay, all right, fair enough.
But, you know, like back on the subject of, you know, the Christian century in Japan, this is when Catholic Christianity in particular was really starting to take off in Japan. And for various and sundry reasons, you know, it kind of collapsed almost overnight.
Well,
but,
go ahead, sorry.
No. But just tying it, you know, all back into, you know, what we were talking about with the Edo period.
Yeah.
During the Edo period, excuse me. During the Edo period, you didn't have death at your doorstep every 5 seconds. There was more money for the lower class. So what you have for the first time is you have an entertainment demand among the populace. They want to be entertained. This is actually when manga, as we know it, kind of takes its roots. The printing press came to Japan,
right,
and they mass produced all of these artworks and little trading cards and what they call mangas. The famous painter, you know, the Great Wave, that is a lot of his collections were called the Hakusai manga.
Whoa. Oh, that's really interesting.
So this is where that takes root. Now,
no, go ahead. Good. Sorry, I'm just thinking, man.
No, you're good, man. Now, in true fashion, humans have a macabre interest. And it usually comes out when there's not a lot going on. Like take, for example, when 9/11 happened, there wasn't much going on as far as like horror movies and things like that. You know, the world just kind of paused, you know, like people abandoned movies that had violence in them. You know, it was just something we did not want to see. So that phenomena with the difference between the Sengoku period and the Edo period, that's kind of a good comparison. But anyway, what you have is you have people that want to be scared. They want these ghost stories. So there was a game they used to play, and I would be lying if I said I haven't played it before. But basically they would light 100 candles, and they would all sit around in the living room one night, and they would just tell like a short 1 or 2 sentence horror story. I mean, like 2-sentence horror stories. I'm sure you've seen those on the internet. This was an early version of that. And as they told these stories, they would blow a candle out, and then they'd blow another one out, and gradually the room would get darker. And as it got darker, you would have people freaking out, like, let's not go any further. Let's not go any further. Those were the kinds of things that Japanese people in the Edo period flocked to. So a lot of the most popular kabuki plays, and we're actually going to talk about one here in just a minute, involve ghosts. They involve tragedy and vengeance. So, I mean, this is a really popular topic, just this obsession with, it's almost like gothic horror, almost, like in a Japanese fashion.
Yeah. That's very, very interesting. You know, what comes to mind when you say that is that affluence tends to allow for less need for the spirits to, I guess, less need for, well, I guess maybe not less need, but maybe less focus on just really dark occurrences. The thing that happens is, and I think this is a valid kind of point to consider, is that when there is affluence, there's definitely less death, right? When it's not even evenly distributed, right? Just whenever everyone is a little bit better off, there's obviously less death for kind of obvious reasons, psychologically and everything like that. But it dulls the senses, right? And so I feel like that's kind of the opportunity. It's a different kind of opportunity that the forces of darkness actually really get to take really solid advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't go into my whole reasoning here, but I actually think that that's basically what's happening here in the US, is that the US was set up as this one thing so that everyone could be affluent, and once they were, then they could be manipulated any which way they wanted to go. And I really believe that that's what most of the founders were after.
Hey, that's why Jesus said you can't serve God and mammon, and we most definitely in America serve mammon over anything else.
Yeah,
I mean, you can deny it all you want to, but I mean the proof's in the pudding.
Yep. Anyway, no, that's all I was going to say. It's just what comes to mind. It's. I think that's one of those topics that I probably have to work through more in my head, but I mean, it's kind of the gist of it.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. And like I said, you can have me on here anytime. I love to talk about this stuff.
I know. I think we both do.
Well, dude, let's talk about some of the more famous Yūrei. These are ghosts that if you stop a Japanese person on the street and you ask them, hey, do you know this story? 9 times out of 10, unless they've been living under a rock, they're going to at least have a passing knowledge of these ghosts. And the first one I want to talk about is one that I think is really cool. This is Taira no Masakado. And that's a mouthful, but basically what you need to know about this guy is he was a rebel. He did not like the central Heian government in Kyoto, and he was going to let everybody know that he did not like the government. So he forms this alliance of all of these clans, and he decides, you know what, I'm gonna topple the government. I'm gonna topple the emperor, and I'm gonna do things my way. So essentially, he doesn't do any of that. He ends up falling in battle, and the story goes that they cut his head off. And for whatever reason, whether it was demonic, whether it was, I don't know, something about heads, man, his head decides, I'm going to take off and I'm going to fly away. So this disembodied head just flies all the way from Kyoto until it gets over this little fishing village called Edo, which was just that at the time. It's just so funny. This is the largest city in the world now, but back then, it was just a tiny little fishing village. And there's an archer that's just sitting on a hill chilling one day, and he says, well, there's a head flying up here. I should probably do something about that. So he shoots it out of the sky. And the people of the village decide, okay, well, this has got some kind of spiritual energy attached to it. So let's build a shrine to this head. And that shrine still exists, and it's known. Yeah, it's the shrine of the head of Masakado.
Whoa!
And there are various legends about activity going on around the shrine. Pretty much, if anybody tries to mess with it, move it, damage it, it doesn't end well for them. One of the incidents that comes to mind is the American occupation after World War II. For whatever reason, decided, hey, we're going to bulldoze this old shrine and we're going to put a parking lot here for our trucks.
There's his grave right there, by the way.
Yep, that's it.
Interesting.
Well, literally, they have a bulldozer for no apparent reason just completely flip over, kill a couple of guys, just absolute chaos around this construction site. To the point that the American soldiers decide, okay, this is not worth it. Like, people are dying because we're trying to mess with this guy's shrine. But instead of him being like this scary, avoidant figure to the Japanese, he's more like a folk hero. A lot of the Japanese see him as the guardian of Tokyo. Like, one day, he kind of like King Arthur, he might come back one day when Tokyo's in trouble and, save the day. That doesn't mean, that they're irreverent towards him, like they're still not going to go and, litter in his shrine or anything like that. But they respect him and they like him. So he's kind of the guardian spirit.
That's I mean, that's so watcher oriented, dude. It's
Oh
ridiculous.
yeah.
I mean, like whenever I hear stuff like that, especially when you said that they consider him the guardian of you say of Tokyo, right?
Yep. Tokyo.
Okay. Wow. Wow. There's something to be. So wow. So how long ago are we talking that this happened?
So this is during the Heian period, which is well before the Sengoku period. This is when the emperor still had power in the Japanese government. This is the early days. So this is roughly 700. If you give me a minute, I'll actually look up his exact time period.
800 to 1185 was the Heian period, but I'll let you
Yep.
look up the exact time.
Let's see. He was, yeah, so he died on March 25th, 940 AD. So yeah, this is during the Heian period.
So we're talking about essentially a little over a century
Mhm.
that he died. Whoa, dude, that's wild. So that, makes you wonder what was going on in the rest of the world at that time.
Mm-hmm. Putting timelines together is kind of my thing, dude. I love it.
Yeah, because that's a stronghold, dude. That's a stronghold for anyone. Like, especially hearing that kind of reaction. And I feel like I've heard that story or something similar to it before. But that's really what comes to mind is like, I don't even know if like I would say demon. I would say something like what the word calls, right? Powers and principality. It sounds like a principality to me, dude. That sounds like a principality. That's a whole.
Well, I kind of mentioned this when talking about the head. Something about the head keeps appearing in folklore, like all the time. Something about like a severed head. The one that comes to my mind, going back to the nautical theme, is the story of Blackbeard. They say that when they cut his head off, and threw his body overboard, his body swam around the ship 3 times in defiance. It's just something about it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, so you got to ask yourself, like what. Here's the thing, right? Because a lot of people debate what the mind is, right, and where that's at. So, from all the stories that I've really heard about NDEs, about near-death experiences, the second that the person dies, their body is a corpse and they are outside their body and they are watching everything happen.
Yep.
I tend to believe that is the case. And I can't imagine a body doing anything else except being manipulated by some kind of outside spiritual force. You can call those demons, or you can call them darkness, or you can call them angels of light, whatever you want to call them. It doesn't matter to me. It depends on how you look at that occurrence, right? But mentioning the mind in particular, like you're right, man. It's really hard because when you study alchemy, right, you start to see that there are 3 parts to just about anything, and that's kind of the whole Philosopher's Stone thing, is that there's 3 parts. And it's supposed to be, if you go into alchemy, that's like it's like a rabbit trail. It'll take you forever.
Oh, yeah, dude.
That's they relate the Godhead, they relate the human body to having 3 pieces, and and that there's a fourth entity that binds them all together, blah blah blah. I'm not going to get into all that, but one of those, it's the body, spirit, and soul. And I heard someone say this the other day, and I was like, that does ring true, that they don't work unless all 3 are in conjunction. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what is it about the head in the body, or in relation to the body, that makes it so much more important? It really gives all the orders, right? Like everything really stems from that. Some people would say, the stomach also is super, super important, and it is, but but it's not quite the command center, right? It's kind of the litmus test, but it's not the command center. So I don't I don't know,
it's,
man.
It's interesting, that going back to kind of the ancient Hebrew type stuff, they believe that the heart was located in the stomach because when something
Right.
scares you,
Yeah.
or you hear something that's really sad,
It's in the
it's
pit of
like
your stomach.
you feel it in your stomach.
Yeah. Yeah. Your entrails, right, were considered to be your. No, sorry, was the kidneys was the heart, and then the entrails was something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds about right. It's something similar to that. Somebody's probably listening right now and be like, "Yes, dude, it's such and such." Leave me a comment. Let us know. Tell us if you know.
Ain't gonna hurt my feelings none. I'll
That's
probably
interesting,
go
man.
look at it.
That's really interesting. Right? You're like, okay. That's really interesting, man. Please tell me more. Tell me more. There's something I do want to talk about before we finish. So remind me. You know about the Silver River, right?
Silver River.
Have you heard of that?
I don't think so.
It may be an exclusively Chinese concept, but the Silver River is kind of a code word for the Milky Way. But it's also known as the River of Souls.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I was thinking about that when we were talking about that the other night. We were talking about ghosts the other night. I was thinking, man, the Silver River, we got to bring that up and blah blah. We didn't get to it, which is fine, but we'll talk about it in a hot minute. Go ahead and continue, man. I just thought I'd throw it out there. Maybe you knew about it.
Hey, man, I'm always open to learning new things, and you taught me something new. Going right along, with some of the more famous Yūrei, and I'm hesitant to talk about this one because this one, it's very few things that scare me, and this is one of them. This is the story of Yotsuya Kaiden, or the strange tale of Yotsuya. Yotsuya it's part of Tokyo now, but it used to be a town outside of Tokyo during the Edo period. And it's the story of a woman named Oiwa. And she is murdered by her husband and his mistress. And various things happen. But anyway, she comes back as a vengeful spirit. And she ends up causing the husband to go insane, kill the woman that he was cheating on her with, kill his father-in-law, and kill his mother. And he essentially just loses his mind. Whoa. That's really all I really want to say about it, just because this one is powerful, man. Like, people... The story comes actually from a kabuki play that was written in around 1700. And they say that it's based in part on a true story. I'm not familiar with all of the ins and outs of it because this is one that I avoid like the plague, just because, and I'm going to tell you why in a minute. Okay. But it was an extremely popular kabuki play. And there were so many prints and so many depictions of this spirit, Oiwa-san, that pretty much, like I was saying earlier, every person in Japan knows about Oiwa. And they also fear her because actors and actresses who have played her in films or TV shows or anything like that, it has not ended well for them. Disaster, misfortune usually strikes. It's so odd because there's really no historical record that these events actually happened.
You mean the like what she did, you mean?
Yeah, like the whole thing. Like, there's no real evidence that she ever was a real historical figure. I mean, there's a grave to her in Yotsuya, but it's such an ambiguous history behind it. Wow. This is, I mean, like, people go to her shrine and ask permission to play her in movies and TV shows just because of how powerful this legend is. Wow. And it started with a kabuki play.
More spiritual contracts.
Yep.
That's crazy, dude. Yep. what was I going to tell you just a second ago? You're making me think of something. I can't remember what I was going to say now, but that's probably not important. Or as we say in Spanish, probably a lie, so it doesn't matter. Wow, that's crazy, man.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
it's one,
Oh.
and you know, like I'm being vague about it. If you want to research more, go right ahead. This is one I don't fool with, but I felt.
What was the name again?
Huh?
What was her name again?
Oiwa-san, Oiwa. Oiwa-san.
Okay.
San is an honorific, so.
Yeah. So what I remember what I was going to say. What comes to mind is when, and there's ample research on this, when people go into a state of rage, like essentially they lose themselves.
Yep.
So this is not that weird, and I hesitate to use the word possession, and the reason I'm hesitant with that word is because it's actually a mistranslation. There's no such thing as a possession. It's just the way that we translated it. The word is demonization, which can just be varying degrees of, dark side or demonic activity affecting us, right? Like that's really what that means. But what does come to mind is actually like we had a pastor on, almost a year ago now, and he was talking about kind of a lot of what a lot of SRA victims. SRA. I was like, did I say it right? Yeah, SRA. If you don't know what SRA is, it's go look it up. I'm not going to tell you what it is.
Yeah,
go look it up. You can look that one up. But essentially,
use an incognito tag.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some stuff even Spotify is going to be like, we're not going to do that. Yeah. So essentially, people do, I shouldn't say would, people that are experiencers of SRA will manifest a split or multiple hidden personalities that they've. That. And this is actually a topic I'm not super comfortable with because I don't actually know how I feel about it. It's very unsettling to me. But it's essentially breaking the soul apart is the idea. And an event like this is what produces that kind of happening. Now, there's other ways to produce that, right? Like prolonged suffering and just manipulation and confusion where there's, people will be really poorly treated and then they're loved just enough. And then they're really poorly treated by that same person all over again, which is, kind of what happens when people are kidnapped and sold into sex slavery. I mean, it's the same kind of thing, but also intense traumatic occurrences can cause that same kind of thing. And those are demonic forces that literally in this understanding connect to the soul and can manifest when it's time, so to speak. I know that sounds far-fetched to a lot of people, but it really does seem to be the case that happens. I mean, I've watched a lot of deliverance, listened to a lot of deliverance ministers. One in particular, have you ever heard of Russ Dizdar?
Name sounds familiar.
Look him up. He's well versed on deliverance and stuff like that. But he talks extensively about this kind of thing, and that's really when you said that this kind of like theatrical almost occurrence. Not to use a pun, sorry, that's not really what I'm trying to say. But this this very exaggerated traumatic occurrence, like stuff like that happens. And I wonder if that's I don't know. It seems like a weird because because she doesn't exist. There's a grave to her, so it's like, well, how does that live on? Is her soul still continue to be tortured? I don't know. There's a lot of question marks there.
It's so interesting. There's a Buddhist belief called a tulpa, and I'm sure you're familiar with this.
Okay.
Basically, if enough people believe in an idea or in an entity, it basically manifests itself. Now, we as Christians know that's, some kind of deception.
Sure.
But like a prime example is Slender Man. Like I remember when Slender Man came out, and the guy that created it on, something awful, a creepypasta, came out and said, it was Photoshop. I created it. It's just a story.
Yeah.
But yet people are documenting with cameras and photographs some sort of
Slender Man.
spirit that looks like Slender Man.
Yeah.
And it's because for so long, people believed that this was a real story, that these real events happened, and it took on a life of its own.
That's,
so I'm wondering if that's
wow.
this kind of a similar phenomena here.
You know, dude, this is so crazy. I keep saying I'm not going to get into this because there's like literally a particular podcast coming up that I'm really waiting to dive hard on this subject. And we kind of talked about this. Actually, we talked about this a good bit on a podcast last week or 2 weeks ago with a buddy of ours, with Jesse. I'm sure you've listened to Jesse. We just like set the camera up and just rolled. We're just like, we don't have a topic. Let's just talk.
Yeah.
And what kept coming back is the are you familiar with the expression, the Akashic record? Do you know what that is?
You might have to run it by me.
Okay. So essentially the Akashic record is like, it's like a giant record of happenings. And let me actually give you a better definition, because mine is not, I'm on the spiritual plane is a better way to say it, but I don't want to misspeak and then somebody's gonna be like, that's not what that is. Okay, there we go. So yeah, okay, a cosmic library or database containing all information about every person, event, thought, and emotion that has ever occurred and potentially will occur, encompassing past, present, and future. I didn't know that very last part. That's interesting. It makes sense though. So I don't know that I would call it that, but dude, the more I've been researching, the more I look, the more I read, the more I dig into stuff, both, Judeo-Christian sources and not. I keep coming back to this thing that there is something like an Akashic record. I would call it the quantum field, or I would call it the ether, if you want to call it those things. But essentially what's written on there is kind of what was just described. It's just everything is recorded. And so it bears, it really bears explaining that there is this connection. We see this on the quantum level, right? Like, what do we call it? Oh my gosh, it's escaping me right now. When two particles respond to each other simultaneously, regardless of their distance. Oh my gosh. What's it called? Entanglement. I couldn't think of the word. Entanglement's a real thing. And the quantum realm is, has really already confirmed that that's a thing, right? And quantum fields, now you might not be on board with this yet, and that's fine, but it's kind of that same thing. And I'm really more speaking to our guests, I don't think you probably are like, nah, that's not real. I'm sure you're probably,
man, the only thing I'm certain of is that I know absolutely nothing.
Right. Exactly. But I'm telling you, man, from what I've seen, it seems like all that stuff is written down on that ether. Like it's written on there, and it's all recorded appropriately. Your intentions, your desires, your hate, your love, all of it. Here you go. I'm going to pause real quick. Well, that was unexpected. I lost Austin. Yeah.
I told you, man, as soon as I start talking about Oiwa, that's...
Yo. Well, and I'm telling you, dude, that kind of stuff, man, it's not, it's not to be taken lightly. It's not to be feared, but it's not to be taken lightly either.
Right.
And I mean, talking about that stuff being written, I mean, that's what I was talking about. It's all written on, the cosmic realm. I mean, it's all written there, so.
Well, that really explains residual hauntings too, because I mean,
it does.
Like, these are things people see that play in a loop, and I mean, like, you can go up to it, try to touch it, it's not going to react to you. It's like a recording.
One thing that's important to remember too, right, is that in the Western mindset, we have such a problem with things, being, as you put it so keenly, being residual hauntings, right, or residual occurrences. Well, the problem is that the ancient world understanding is that everything is cyclical. My gosh, if you know anything about Chinese history, everything is cyclical. It all repeats over and over and over. And I've no doubt that Japan is identical in that respect. I mean, identical. So to me, that stuff's not weird, but it is when you're trying to get a grasp on these occurrences, right? These creatures and these, not even just these creatures, but these happenings are ancient, dude. They've been going on for time immemorial. I mean, it's just always been that way, you know, or at least for thousands and thousands of years, it's been that way. And so, yeah, goes without saying, man.
It's definitely, I agree 100% with you. And I could really get into some stuff because that ties in, you know, with my view on the end times. You know, I don't want to get off on too much of a tangent, but, you know, you hear a lot of people say, well, you know, all the stuff in Revelations has already happened, you know, because you can, you know, connect this with that and this with that.
Sure.
And my response to that is, okay, maybe, but even if that's true, what you have to understand about Bible prophecy is there's an immediate meaning and there's a future meaning to it.
Sure.
Just like the beasts in Daniel. They were nations that were on the earth at the time of Daniel. But you can make a really solid argument that these are modern nations too.
And I would say
it's almost like things run in a cycle.
Yep, exactly. That's exactly right. And I was going to say, I would dare say that every prophecy, if not every prophecy, almost every prophecy has at least two fulfillments. At least. Now, I'm not going to say every single one. I'm definitely not a biblical scholar, but I have seen enough things happen that I know that this is the case. I mean, like, we watch it happen, right? So somebody put this out there. I was talking to David Paxton, love the dude. We were actually talking about his view on the pre-trib rapture, because he's a pre-tribber. For those of you guys don't know, if you haven't watched this or heard this before, I'm not going to go too deep in it. Just he believes that Jesus comes to get us before all the really heavy stuff happens. That's a really easy way to say it. What's that?
I said I wish.
Yeah, you and me both. I'm not really convinced, although he's probably presented the best argument I've ever heard anyone give for it. Like, pretty solid points. I'm like, all right, well, fair enough. It's not my belief, but you know, nonetheless. And he was talking about how the devil, or you know, whatever we want to call him, the enemy, the enemies, right? But in particular, Satan, the one that the Bible refers to as kind of the one that's, if not the head honcho, at least kind of pulling the strings. He doesn't know the timeline exactly either. So he always has to have an antichrist on the ready, you know, at the helm. So that's why we've seen multiple individuals over history that are constantly having these tendencies. And that's why people jump at wow, it's him. Oh, it's him. Well, it could be. It is, and it could be, right? Like simultaneously. So, yeah.
Well, like I said, man, you know, I don't get on too much of a tangent, but you know, some of this AI stuff, like, it's useful. I enjoy playing around with it. I use it for a lot of things, but at the end of the day, man, it's just how it's advanced so rapidly just in the past 3 years. You could fool me into thinking I was talking to a real person. Now I know there's some tech guys out there that I can tell because this, that,
sure.
I'm not a tech dude. Like, you could probably fool me pretty good. Like, it's
it's just about there. It's just about there, man. Yeah, it really is. It really is just about there. Anyway, I didn't want to get too much on a tangent. You wanted to talk? What was another one you wanted to talk about, dude?
Yeah, let's talk about Okiku-san. This one's a little more. I don't want to say lighthearted, but it's not as scary to me. Okiku-san is the ghost of Himeji Castle, and Himeji Castle is you've seen pictures of it. I promise. It's this beautiful white castle with a blue roof, and I mean, it's the quintessential image of a Japanese castle. Well, in the courtyard of that castle, there is a well that's now known as Okiku's well. The legend goes that Okiku was a servant at the castle, and she was highly favored by the lord of the castle. There's some tellings that hint that possibly romantic relationship between the two. That was pretty
Likely.
common back then.
Right.
But anyway, the wife becomes jealous of Okiku. Now, one of Okiku's duties was to guard 10 plates that were very special to the lord of the castle. Why they were special, it escapes my memory. Maybe they were heirlooms, or maybe they had some kind of ritual significance, but they were very special. And it was her main duty to protect these plates. So the lady of the castle, who is jealous, decides, well, you know what? I know a way that I can make Okiku lose favor with my husband. So she takes one of those plates and she hides it. And Okiku goes to count out the plates and do her duties, and she notices that one is missing. Now, this is where it kind of branches off into different things that happen thereafter. Some people say that she was so distraught that she committed suicide by throwing herself into the well. Others say the lord of the castle became so enraged with her for losing one of his plates that he threw her down the well. But it comes back together in that the legend goes that every night the spirit of Okiku would rise from the well, and she would count to 10 in Japanese. So ich, ni, san, yon, go, roku, shich, haich, kyu. And when she would get to Q, there would be a momentary silence followed by a blood-curdling scream. And that's a very popular story in Japan. As a matter of fact, the movie The Ring is partially based on that. You know, what's her name? Sadako, she comes out of the well.
Yeah,
it's a popular tale. Whether it has any historical basis, I don't know. But it's a well-loved folktale.
It's a well-loved folktale.
Yep.
I like that.
Well,
nice.
Well, let me also, kind of get on another thing here. There are 3 great ghosts of Japan. They're called the YuRei.
Okay.
And they are Oiwa-san, who we already talked about, who we just talked about.
Yeah.
And Otsuya, I think was her name. And that is, I don't know much about her. I know that she was painted. They painted a portrait of her. So she's really, But anyway, moving on to the next one, and this one's really going to blow your mind, dude. This is Emperor Sotoku, and he lived. This is a real historical figure. Like this guy. Let me see when he lived. Emperor Sotoku. Let's see. He lived from July 7th, 1119, to about September 14th, 1164. His rule, I don't know. Let me see. Yep, he ruled from 1123 to 1142. So let's zoom in on that. This is the Heian period, so the center of Japanese power is still in Kyoto, and the emperor still has all the power. So that's the background as to what's going on. Well, Emperor Sotoku, through various misfortunes and plots and, Game of Thrones type stuff. Don't recommend watching it, but that's basically what's going on behind the scenes. Is there's a lot of intrigue and espionage. Anyway, he ends up losing his position as emperor, and he decides to pursue a life of piety as a monk. So he goes to a monastery and he lives there, and he comes to peace with his fate. Well, he decides, before I die, I would like to write some sutras, some Buddhist proverbs.
I would say he becomes a Buddhist. I wasn't sure which belief, but it would probably have to be Buddhism.
Yeah, it would be Buddhism. This was before.
Yeah.
I don't even think the Western world knew Japan existed at this point.
Yeah.
But he wants to write these sutras, and he wants to send them to the emperor as kind of an olive branch, like, hey, there's no hard feelings. I'm at peace with this. And I think I think the quote is, "At least let me enter Kyoto with the tip of my brush, if not with my feet." Well, the emperor at the time is really, really suspicious of Sotoku. So he rejects the books and he actually shreds them into pieces. This upsets Sotoku in unimaginable ways. He refuses to sleep. He refuses to... Basically, he loses his religion, is the best way I can put it.
Whoa.
And he just becomes this deranged maniac in the monastery. Well, he vows that he's going to get his revenge, not just on the emperor, but on the entire imperial family. So what
So
he
much
ends
for
up
just
doing...
the brush, huh?
Oh, yeah, man. Like, golly, dude, this dude really went scorched earth.
Sheesh.
Well, when he died, he came back as Onryō, a vengeful spirit. And this actually blurs the line because he's technically a Goryō, a noble ghost, but he's vengeful, so he's an Onryō. So it kind of blurs those lines. But anyway, as soon as he dies, like, bad crap starts happening in Kyoto. There are floods, lightning strikes, fires. Half of Kyoto gets burned to the ground. It's just a nightmare.
Sheesh.
And to top it all off, this emperor would be the last emperor until 1800, because this is what sparked the Sengoku era. The emperor lost all of his power, and he was basically replaced with the shogun, with the warlords.
Whoa.
So he remained true to his word. Like, he was going to completely destroy not just the emperor, but his power as well.
Huh. Sheesh, dude. That's crazy.
So he's highly, highly venerated in Japanese mythology, but he was a real person. Like, he's documented.
That's crazy. That's really great. Let me see. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about what you're saying, but I'm also thinking about the fact that's what set off the Warring States period. That's crazy. Sengoku period. I'm looking at. I'm kind of comparing them, China and the Japanese 1400. Wow, that's interesting. 475. 470. And how long did it last for? Sengoku period length.
It lasted until 1600.
Just about exactly 1600. So that's about what? Give or take, like 140 years?
Yeah, something like that. And I mean, even then, the emperor never had the power that he had
Previously.
at that time. I mean, like, even today, the imperial family is mostly ceremonial. Now, the only exception to that was Meiji, and I'm kind of a Meiji fanboy. I loved Emperor Meiji, but he was kind of an anomaly. He had some power.
What does Meiji mean?
I don't even know. I'm not going to pretend to know.
Emperor. Sorry, it just sounded like something I know in Japanese. That's why I was curious. Emperor Meiji. Let's see. Meaning, oh wow, he was like all
get this
decked out.
Get this.
Enlightened government. No, that's interesting. Whoa, that's very interesting. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Get this. No. When news of his death reached the current emperor, Go Shirakawa, the emperor ignored it, and he actually ordered that nobody should go into mourning and that no state funeral would be held for him, for he was a criminal. Okay, so after his death, strange things began to happen. Sutoku's body was set aside while its caretakers awaited funeral instructions from the emperor. After 20 days, his body was still as fresh as it had been on the day he died. While his coffin was taken to be cremated, a terrible storm rolled in. So the caretakers placed the casket on the ground to take shelter. After the storm passed, the stones around the casket were soaked with fresh blood. When his body was finally cremated, the ashes descended upon Kyoto in a dark cloud. Afterwards, for many years, disaster upon disaster struck the capital. Go-Shirakawa's successor, Emperor Nijo, died suddenly at age 23. Storms, plagues, fires, droughts, and earthquakes all pounded the capital. Imperial power weakened, clan rivalry set into motion by the rebellion. I'm guessing that's Sotoku's rebellion. And many of the emperor's allies were killed in battles, and the country stepped closer and closer to all-out civil war. In 1180, the Genpei War broke out. In 5 bloody years, the power of the imperial court had vanished, and the Kamakura shogunate took over Japan. All of this was attributed to Emperor Sutoko's vengeance. Now, here's where Meiji comes in. Sutoko finally returned to the capital during the Meiji era. In 1868, he was enshrined as a kami in the Shiramine Shrine in Kyoto. The Takiya Shrine in Kagawa also enshrines one of the stones onto which Sutoko's blood flowed during the rainstorm before his cremation. Now, despite this, there are still rumors that his curse might still linger. In 2012, when NHK, that's the Japanese broadcasting network, broadcast the drama Taira no Kiyomori, an earthquake struck the Kanto region right at the moment when Emperor Sutoko transformed into an Onryō. So, as this was happening on the TV, an earthquake hit.
Whoa.
That's some next level. That's some next level beef right there.
Man. That's crazy, dude. That's so crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
I mean, what you make of that?
I don't either, man, because I mean, like, obviously, you know, this guy wasn't a Christian. He had no divine power. But I don't know, man. Like,
well, you know what comes to mind though, too, man, is that man, I don't know if we're gonna get reamed over the coals if I say this, but that's okay. I'll try and tread lightly and very as best I can explain what I mean. I will not ever apologize for saying that physical objects can have spiritual power in them. I will never apologize for saying that. But what comes to mind is Moses's body.
Yep.
For those of you guys that don't know this, Moses' body was fought over by, was it the devil himself? The devil was fighting for his body, right? Was trying to get a hold of it.
It was the Satan and Saint Michael.
Was it Michael? I was gonna say it was Gabriel. I thought it was Gabriel. Was it Michael? So it's wild, man. Like, you have to ask yourself, like, why did Satan want this physical body? And I would say, well, I don't want to go down that path. It's too long. But the physical body here and what I would call the physical body in the spiritual realm are very different. And the main component there is density. And we, without trying to, dig too much of a hole or go down too far of a labyrinth, we can see how that plays out with the Nephilim. The Nephilim are huge. Yep. They're mega dense, right? At least half of them is, anyway, we would say. So anyway, all that to say, you got to ask yourself, what is it that the enemy wanted, the Hasatan wanted with Moses's body, Moshe's body? Because what's weird about it is, I mean, if you kind of relate this back to a modern day thing, and I know we're kind of deviating from what we were just talking about. What was this guy's name again? So how do you say his name?
Sutoko, I think. I've probably been pronouncing it wrong.
Okay, no sweat. This supposedly peaceful Buddhist. Now I'm gonna rip the earth in half, dude. Nobility,
right?
So I'm gonna bring it back to that, and I'm just kind of going out a little bit so we can kind of have some subject matter. But if we look at the modern day alien phenomenon, or what people call the alien phenomenon and the abduction phenomenon, right? Like, what's being taken, right? What's being taken from these humans? And it's usually something that has to do with reproduction in general. But
yeah,
a post-mortem body is I don't even know what to make of that. I mean, other than maybe used for ritual powers. I mean, I guess that's possible. That's entirely possible. I don't know. Thoughts, man. That's just kind of where my mind is going. And
Man,
this dude's body too, right? I
that's
mean, it
about 3
cremated him.
episodes right there. Because
I know. I don't know.
I don't think that the Nephilim or whatever was behind the Nephilim ever stopped.
Yeah,
I think they're still experimenting, and that's what these alien abductions are. And these creatures that people see, like these chimeras, that's their experimentation, dude. I mean, there's no two ways about it.
If, ands, or buts. One of the things that I would draw to people's attention is if you're interested in this, and it's a hard subject to find a lot of stuff about, but if you look up the Merkaba, I don't know how to pronounce it in Hebrew, but Merkaba, whatever, however you say it, is essentially it refers to the clouds. It's a reference to the clouds, but it's more than that. It's a reference to like a ship and a driver. So go down that rabbit hole if you guys want to. Hopefully one day we'll get to do an episode about it. Really, I read Vicky's book and she talks pretty at length about it. And so that kind of thing makes you wonder, like, what are they taking bodies for? And I can give you a real short story, actually, Austin. I think that this is probably really relevant for this, talking about this dude's body being slaughtered and then cremated and blasted out and all over, what was it, Tokyo you said, or Kyoto? Kyoto. So when I was in a class called Tibetan art, it was all about Tibetan art. Now, that may sound like to you and I, oh, that's cool, yeah, it's just art. Well, for these guys, it was not just art. Like every in ancient cultures in general too, right? Like all of their art had a purpose. It wasn't just there to exist as a pretty thing. Like it had a purpose.
Right. Had a function.
So exactly. And the Tibetans are notorious for their mandalas. They're super notorious. And mandalas can be used, if you guys haven't looked that stuff up, just to explain it briefly, they can be used for, mind meditation and ascension and all sorts of stuff, but we're not going there. But what was of particular interest to me was because obviously with Tibet, you're going to have bleed over with India because it's all the same region and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
My teacher mentioned, I don't know if she physically witnessed this or, secondhand had it explained to her. I don't remember which, but she was telling us one day, she's like, oh, you guys know that there will be yogis that go, or Tibetans or yogis, can't remember which, but I mean, 6 of one, half a dozen the other. I know they're different religious practices, but they're both meditating. They would meditate on these dead bodies, and these dead corpses would reanimate. This is a real thing that happens. So you have to ask yourself, right? Like, what's in the body? Like, what's left in the body? Is it like a computer, like when you turn it off, but they tell you make sure you leave it off for 10 seconds because there's still circuitry running around and you got to make sure that everything completely shuts off and so on. I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of spitballing here because these are thoughts that are coming into my brain about something wild like this emperor, like provoking the entire civil war of the country of Japan. That's pretty crazy.
Oh yeah. I mean, it completely changed the shape of Japanese history forever. And, honestly, it's because the emperor had no power that Christianity got outlawed in Japan. So that's a whole nother rabbit hole. But,
whoa.
Well, let's talk about some of the haunted places, man. You want to hear about some haunted
That's
places?
interesting. Sorry, I'm not trying to take this too far to the left field.
No, you're good, man. You're good. I love it, man. I just know it's like it's you got a family, it's the weekend, so let's
party hardy. Talk to me about haunted places, Austin.
All right, so I wanted to do ones that are lesser known. I mean, everybody knows about Aokigahara, the Sea of Trees at the bottom of Mount Fuji.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible place. A lot of bad things happen there to this day, but everybody knows about it. So I want to take you to some of the lesser known haunted places that I think are equally as spooky and horrific. So the first one we're going to talk about is Hachigata Castle. And this is not too far from Tokyo, I don't think. But these are the ruins of a castle that was destroyed in battle. And the story behind what happened to this castle is Hideyoshi, when he was trying to unite Japan, decided that he had to get rid of the Hojo clan. And this was the Hojo clan's stronghold. So this was the battle that toppled the Hojo clan. And they were very, very powerful. They actually ruled the country for a little while. But when Hideyoshi besieged the castle, they knew there was no way that they were going to win this battle. He had just too many soldiers. His strategy was better. It was a lost cause. The thing about it is Hideyoshi was known for a lot of things. Mercy was not one of them. So the women, children, and non-combatants, there's a waterfall not too far from the castle. So they decided that they were going to go to this waterfall and they were going to throw themselves over the waterfall. And there were so many people that died at the base of this waterfall, I guess from the rocks or whatever, that the water in this river ran red with blood for 3 days and 3 nights.
Whoa.
Like that's fact. So when Hideyoshi finally entered the castle, he, in true Hideyoshi fashion, just annihilated everybody left standing.
Sheesh. He
He was so thorough in his destruction that within a generation, no one even remembered that a castle stood on the spot. He burned it completely to the ground. I mean, like it's not a lot left there. They've done some recreation, and there's some sites where they've dug, pieces of wall up and things like that. But he went scorched earth on this castle.
Man, that's crazy.
But it was such a bloody and hard-fought battle that to this day, people that live nearby say that they can hear the sounds of battle at night. They can hear swords clashing.
Yeah.
Contrary to what you might believe, the samurai loved guns, so they can hear, like arquebuses or flintlocks, going off.
Whoa.
Just screams and just all of these sounds. And the locals that live nearby have been saying for years that there are more Yūrei in the woods surrounding the castle than there are trees. And some have claimed to be pushed and hit and attacked, while they're on the castle grounds. So this is a place of real suffering and death.
Insane spiritual activity. I mean, and I mean, we've talked about this at length, right? But I mean, the more death there is, the more spiritually negatively charged, or just charged in general, right? An area is going to be, but especially negatively charged.
Well, it reminds me of something. I can't remember if we talked about this when we talked about yokai or not, but the Odokuro or the Gasha Dokuro is basically a yokai that's a giant skeleton made up of all the bones that are left on a battlefield.
Whoa,
and it's the energy and the anger of all of these fallen soldiers that were basically taken away from their families to die far from home. All of that emotion just causes these bones to conglomerate together into the form of this enormous demonic skeleton. That's kind of what this reminds me of.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, geez, dude. I mean, one of the things coming to my mind is I can't even remember the name of the pit that they started. I think it was Tamolek, right? That they were chucking these. They were throwing their children into the fires. They were sacrificing, like pushing them off a huge ledge, and just yeah. I mean, it's giving spiritual currency is what it really is. That's what the blood is. The blood is spiritual currency. So.
It's, man, I'm telling you, I mean, like that reminds me, God told Cain, I can hear your brother's blood crying out to me.
Right. Yep.
And I kind of say this tongue in cheek, but not really. There's power in the blood.
Yeah, no, there certainly is. I've talked about this before. It's been a while, but my pastor was telling me about a whole documentary he was watching about how police look for forensic evidence. And when they find blood stains and they look at blood under a microscope, they can see these tiny glowing crosses in the blood.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's really wild, dude. It's really
That's
wild.
wild.
It is. It's very wild because the blood glows. The blood has a particular property that makes it glow. Certain parts of the blood glow, not all of it, obviously, right? You don't see it like that, but yeah. Under certain light conditions, you can see that there's this glowing particle that's a cross.
That is wild. I've never heard that before, but thank you for giving me that information, dude.
Yeah, check it out, man. Look it up. I need to actually research that too, but that was wild when I heard it for the first time. I was like, what?
Well, let's talk about Gridley Tunnel. Now, I'm going to tell you a funny story. Like, I don't know why. It's very few things that kind of are pet peeves of mine, but mispronouncing Japanese words really gets under my skin. I don't know why. And, like, I try to, like, my face needs deliverance. Like, I can tell you everything's good, but my face will say otherwise. That's, I need more sanctification in my face. But anyway, a lot of the older folks that were in the military, they talk about this place called Yokosuka in Japan. Like, that's how they pronounce it, Yokosuka. And it drives me nuts because it's pronounced Yokosuka.
Yokosuka. Oh, okay.
Yokosuka.
Left that whole syllable.
That's the way they pronounce it. It's a military base. Well, here at Yokosuka, there is a tunnel leading to the naval base, and it's said to be haunted by a samurai that was murdered in that tunnel years prior. Like, it's an old tunnel that I guess was used back in the Sengoku period or early Edo period. But the legend says that it's a ghostly samurai that appears there on rainy nights. And if you approach him, he will charge you.
Always with the rain and always with the water, right?
Always,
man.
Well, this one will really blow your mind, man. This one right here it borders on urban legend, but the legend has it that in the mountains of Japan, there is, well, let me preface it with this. In the mountains of Japan, there is a region called Inunaki, and it translates Inunaki, yeah. And the Japanese, I know where you're going. I know exactly where you're going. But
I mean, I know. I'm not trying to draw meaning because I'm perfectly aware as a linguistics major that there are coincidences. That does happen.
Yeah.
You know.
But it's a heck of a coincidence. But
yeah, it is.
But Inu means dog, so like Shiba Inu.
Right.
And Naki means like wailing or crying or howling. Oh. So this is basically the valley of the howling dog.
Okay.
Is what this translates to. There's a lot of folklore about this one region. Various theories as to how it got its name. Some people say when the wind blows through the mountains, it sounds like a howling dog. Other people say that there was a man who lived in the valley, and he had a dog that just would not stop barking at night. And no matter what this guy did, the dog would not stop howling and would not stop barking. Well, one day he decided, I'm going to have to get rid of this dog. So he kills the dog, and the next morning they find his house ransacked and he and his family murdered.
Whoa.
The dog was protecting him. Because he saw, the people in the woods, watching, waiting for the time to strike, and the dog was keeping them at bay. So that's just one of the folklore things that happen here in this valley. But more interesting than that is there's a tunnel called the Inunaki Tunnel. And the legend goes that back in the 60s or 70s, there was a man and a woman that were driving through this tunnel, and as they drove through the tunnel, their car suddenly stopped working. So they decide, well, we've got to find some help. This is the days before cell phones or GPS, anything like that. So they suspect there must be a village somewhere. So they see this path that kind of juts off the road, and they wander down this path, and there's a village. But what they notice is there's a sign in front of this village that reads, "The Constitution of Japan does not apply beyond this point."
Oh.
And they're like, okay, that's weird. What does that mean? So this is the Japanese version of The Hills Have Eyes. This is exactly what it is. Essentially, as the story goes, the man and woman enter this village looking for help.
Yeah.
And they end up, getting killed and eaten by inbred cannibals, pretty much. Yeah. So this is quite literally the Japanese version of The Hills Have Eyes. But there's so much folklore surrounding this tunnel and the things that go on around the tunnel, murders, and like some have been documented. Like there have been documented murders that happen in this tunnel. And you can look it up. The Japanese government has actually blocked it off. Like they've put a slab of concrete over it where you can't get into it anymore.
Whoa. What's the name of the tunnel again?
Inunaki Tunnel.
It's just Inunaki. Okay.
Yep, Inunaki. Yeah, definitely pull that thing up, man.
Somebody turned it into a Survivor game.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I gotta play that.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's wild, dude. Yeah, Urban Legends of Japan. Yeah, I'll definitely have to read that. That's crazy because tunnels, I mean, there's nothing short of tunnels are replete. I mean, they're like water, it's all superficial, right? I mean by that, like underneath, sorry, not superficial. They're all profound. They're all deep below the earth. Wow. That's interesting.
It's, man, I'm telling you, like there's legends even here in Virginia about, supposed towns that, people like, yeah, I stopped through here and, I stopped at this store and, I got this drink from this bar, I'm going to go back there. And they go back to the spot and there's nothing there.
Whoa.
I've heard of truckers like driving down the road and they see a gas station and decide, yeah, I'm going to stop here. And they get their gas. They maybe go in, buy a drink, and they, something's always off. Like maybe the music doesn't play just right, or, something's always just a little off. And on their way back, and not even a day later, they decide, you know what, I'm going to stop at that store again. And when they get to it, it's boarded up, just about falling down. It's like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if it's a different timeline that's crossing over or what it could be. But like these places, it's like
that's weird.
It's like they glitch through time.
Sure. And it's funny you say that. There's actually a place near my house that I haven't frequented in a while because I haven't really had much of a reason to go that way. But so right behind my house and like almost in every direction, you go north, there's a good amount of farmland. You go east, there's a ton of farmland. You go south, not quite as much, but there's still farmland. But especially like when I head eastern. When I head out east, like southeast. When I head southeast a little ways, there's a few houses kind of, bunched in everywhere and everything as you're driving. And there's, obviously just wooded area and stuff like that. Well, there's this really weird turn where it's, because they're all country roads, right? So one, if you stay on this road, it literally just kind of curves on its own and you can just follow the path. You don't have to use any sign like signals or anything like that. You just keep going. There's another inlet that's kind of at a weird angle, like kind of intersects it like at a curved angle. And you can also, instead of following the curve, you can go left and bridge onto that street that curves coming into the other street, right? I don't know if that makes sense. It's essentially two streets, but it's a weird spot because it's like two curves meeting. It's very weird. So if you take the left, immediately, there is a house there, like right there on the little corner. Man, I'd seen this house for 2 years. I've been at this house for 4 or 5 years now that we've been living here. Shoot, maybe even 3 years. I swear to you, dude, from one day to the next, in like 2 weeks, the house was gone. I saw it every day that I would go by this place. Every day. It was like unmissable. It was just like kind of randomly there on the corner. And I remember there was a little fence. It was an old place. It wasn't like a brand new place or anything, but there was a car there. There's a house there. Somebody was clearly living there. And then like I hadn't been there for 2 weeks and it was completely gone. Like I had to look to even find that there was like a dirt path that had been treaded there where the land was, because there was nothing there. It wasn't even debris, like nothing. So I get what that kind of feeling is like. It's so bizarre. And I'm still to this day, I'll drive by there and I'm like, I know there was a house here. There was a freaking house here. And I still drive and it's not there anymore. It's just never there. And
we have we have the opposite problem up here. I can go down, like I go down
so weird
this one road like to go to work.
Yeah.
And less than 2 years ago, I would go another way to work, and I started going this way. How am I trying to describe this? Basically, I come to the end of this road one day, and I take a left going to South Boston, Virginia. That's where I was working.
Okay.
And it's just a patch of grass there. No sign, nothing. Just patch of grass. I go home, and I don't work in this town for 1 week. I come back, and just before I take a left in that same spot, I look over, and there's a whole Dollar General. Like, I'm talking, like, it's open. People are in there, everything, just like overnight. Like,
wow, that's wild.
I don't know.
That's how it was, dude. I mean,
that's Dollar General for you, though.
You're right, right. They'll set up on the moon if you let them. Yeah, that's wild, man. That's wild. Anyway, I didn't mean to tangent. It's very weird to me. Tunnels are crazy. Tunnels are a crazy thing, man. There's actually tunnels that I had by my house that have since been fenced off and barred off. I grew up in El Paso, Texas, where Shelley lives, and there's a whole drainage system because there's crazy flash flooding there. But Austin, I'm telling you, dude, you could go down these because you live in the desert, so it doesn't ever rain. If it rained, you'd be SOL. I'm not gonna lie. But we would follow these. I'm talking about miles. You could walk through these tunnels, miles and miles and miles, and it's very weird. And there was I remember, like, I wouldn't even go into that right now, but there's all sorts of spiritual stuff that happened when I was down there. That's actually the first time. This is a weird thing to talk about right now, but that's the first time that I started speaking in tongues down in these tunnels when a friend of mine prayed for me. I know that's so weird. That's such a weird thing to say, but it's true. It's what happens. So,
and see, it's so crazy because like a lot of these like tunnels and abandoned buildings and stuff, that's where these Luciferian groups, go
I know.
Like,
and at the entrance, at the entrance to these tunnels, it was just like that. There was all these things all over, but there's gangs and stuff that do all sorts of crap. But there was stuff like that too. There was pentagrams all up on the ground, and like something was burnt on the ground one time, and it was like, okay, but we treaded through anyway. So,
hey, shoot, I need to come down there and go through it with you one time.
Yeah, no
I like stuff like that.
It's been a hot minute, but all right, man. I didn't mean to take it. Was there another one you want to talk about?
Yeah, I got two more, and then I'll let you go. But
cool,
the first one I want to talk about is called Oiran-buchi. This is in the Yamanashi prefecture. The story behind this site is, in this region, the Takeda clan, they had made their fortune with silver. And this is where they mined that silver. Well, eventually what happens when you have a bunch of guys in a mining camp and they're away from home and they get lonely, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, you get some Chicago Boys Town is what you get.
Yep, that's exactly what happened. So basically, they start bringing these prostitutes into the mining camp. And the heads of the Takeda clan aren't happy about this at all because, number one, these are women of ill repute.
Right.
Number two, they talk among themselves, and it's only a matter of time before these women spill the location of where our mines are.
Oh, wow.
So they've got to get rid of these women and make sure they don't talk. So what ends up happening is they have this rope bridge, like plank and rope bridge, like Indiana Jones Temple of Doom type bridge. And they tell the women, like, hey, can all of you go up on this bridge and give us a little show, give us a little dance? So all of them go up there, and as soon as they get on the bridge, they're soldiers, and they cut the ropes.
Dang.
And about 50 of these women, I mean, this is a good drop too. This isn't like this is a gorge.
Yeah.
So they all fall and die.
Certain death, yeah.
Yeah. So to this day, there's a bridge that crosses that gorge. And if you go on that bridge at night, you can hear screams of women falling like beside you in all directions.
Oh man. That's
It's
wild.
one of the most haunted places in Japan.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude.
And the last one, now you're going to find this one really interesting. This is the one that I was actually working on before we started recording.
Yeah.
Just doing some extra research on it.
Yeah.
This is Hakkōda-san, or the Hakkōda Mountain. This is in Aomori Prefecture. So this is as far north as you can get without being in Hokkaido. So this is the northernmost tip of the main island of Japan. It actually translates to Blue Forest. I've always really liked that name, but Aomori Prefecture. So Hakkōda Mountain it's not one singular mountain. It's a small range of mountains, but it's renowned and infamous for unstable weather conditions. So in the early 1900s, this is during the Meiji period, Japan is modernizing super fast. Like they go from being in a feudal society to being in a modern society almost overnight. Well, there are tensions with Russia going on at this point. It hasn't evolved into all-out war yet, but it will. So the Meiji army decides we need to come up with a plan for if Russia ever decides to invade from the north. And one thing that we know about Russia is Russians know how to handle snow. Okay?
Indeed.
The Japanese don't. So they decide, okay, well, what we'll do is we'll have this training exercise on this mountain. We'll wait for the first snow of the year in January, or probably before then, and we'll train these guys to, maneuver in the snow. So that's what they decide to do. So probably about 500 guys, these are greenhorn soldiers, and maybe one or two commanding officers, take off up this mountain on January 23rd. And they expect it to be a really quick exercise, just maybe a day, and they're going to come straight back. So all they really have is standard gear. They don't have any like winter coats or boots, nothing. So they go up this mountain, and in true Mount Hakkōda fashion, unstable weather hits almost immediately. So the temperature, a snowstorm came up. It's actually the most aggressive blizzard on record in Japanese history.
Whoa.
It was a complete whiteout phenomenon.
Whoa.
Not only that, but the temperature dropped to negative 41 degrees, which is at one time it was the lowest temperature ever recorded in Japanese history. Like there's a lot of firsts that go on with this incident.
When was this? 18?
This was 1902.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so this really, in the grand scheme of things, wasn't so long ago.
This is fairly recent.
Yeah, but what you have to understand is the Japanese at this point, they were nationalists. They were
right.
getting into that mindset that would lead to World War II.
Yeah.
In that Japanese pride, they thought, oh, well, we can handle it. You know, like those Russians, you know, they need boots and snowshoes and all this stuff. But we're Japanese. This is our turf. We can take that. No, they can't. No, they couldn't.
Yeah,
and unfortunately, they found out the hard way.
Dang.
And yeah, like this is a pretty big deal in Japanese military history. This is known as the Hakkōda Mountain disaster because most of these guys froze to death. I'm not going to get into the gory details, but it was when they finally got to these bodies, it was horrific what they found. There's a memorial to these men on top of the mountain now, and it's I think it's a statue of a Japanese soldier. But because of all that death and suffering that happened at one point in time, it's a hot spot for supernatural activity.
Yeah, sure.
There are strange lights that appear on the peaks of the mountains from time to time that aren't able to be explained by anything. People hear moans and wails, and they've even seen apparitions of like soldiers in formation, like kind of marching along the mountainside. And I mean, they're in period clothes. Like nobody dresses like that in 2025. So yeah, I don't know if it's a residual haunting or I don't know, but it's a pretty depressing thing to think about.
Yeah, I mean that sucks. It's a terrible way to die.
Oh yeah, man, freezing to death is.
I mean, I don't know which is worse, freezing to death or burning to death. I mean, that's awful. I mean, I guess you feel less when you're freezing to death, but it's miserable, man. It's literally your body's like slowly shutting down, whereas you burn for a little bit and you're gone. But man, that's crazy. Well, it's really interesting. See that it just kind of like it always seems to reflect the same kind of phenomenon, right? Like you always see whenever there's a high concentration of death, there's always spiritual phenomenon that's happening there.
Yeah.
I don't know if what it is that the fact that people leave their bodies leaves the veil thin. I wonder if that's what it is, you know, because and the water aspect too. And one thing I was going to ask you actually about this, because this is on a mountain peak, which is of particular interest to me. Do we know anything else about the history of this mountain? Is there anything else you know about it?
I can look it up right quick.
Because
the Hakkōda Mountains.
Because mountains always they're the places where the gods and men would meet on the regular. Which is why.
So it's actually an active volcano.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, it's an active volcanic complex in south central Aomori Prefecture.
Oh, well, that would explain the erratic weather patterns then.
Yeah, and there are various peaks to it, so it's kind of a cluster of mountains. Let's see.
Man, that's crazy.
They actually call this event the Hakkōda Death March, because that's pretty much what it was.
March to death. Jeez.
Yeah.
Man, that's brutal. You're gonna have to send me these particular topics so I can make sure that I post them and at least leave links, or at least name them so that people know where to go and look for them. That's really cool.
Well, the snow actually gets so deep on these mountains that when you look at the trees and how much snow is on them, they actually take on like the forms. They call them snow monsters. So they can look like grotesque gargoyles, or you know how trees, when they get weighed down.
Yeah. They totally lean over.
Yeah. So covered in snow, they take on all kinds of shapes.
That's crazy. That's really interesting, man. I wonder what. It's crazy that's a volcano.
Yeah.
And is it still active?
As far as I can tell, it is.
Dang, that's wild.
There's actually a ski resort on top of the mountain too, and apparently there's been some accidents there, avalanches, depressions in the mountains can trap toxic volcanic gases.
Oh wow!
Ooh, these gases have led to the deaths of several people in modern history.
Yeah, I bet they have, man. Do you know what the altitude is?
I can find that.
That's interesting as well.
Yeah, the elevation is 5,197 feet.
So that's like 2,000 meters.
Yeah.
About 1,500 meters, 1,750, something like that.
1,584, actually.
Oh, there you go. Okay, almost 1,600.
Yep.
That's pretty high, man. I mean, that's a kilometer and a half. It's a mile and change. That's wild.
Well, this incident is the most lethal disaster in modern history when it comes to mountaineering. Like this was a crap show.
Wow, man, that's
Jeez.
crazy. That's good stuff, man.
Yep.
Man, Austin, thanks for coming on, dude, and talking crazy stuff.
Anytime, man.
Japanese
I love it.
Stuff.
I live for this kind of thing, man. I could talk to you all day about it.
I'm sure we'll see on the other side exactly what was going on, man. It's wild to think about. Some of these, like, I have to be honest. It seems kind of obvious that hauntings and stuff is kind of a normal thing, but man, there's a lot more question marks than I thought there were. Those are some very bizarre occurrences. Very bizarre. And it's particularly interesting that there seems to be a very openness to the spiritual realm on the part of the Japanese, but there seems to be like they make a pretty clear distinction between humans and the afterlife,
Yeah.
Which is weird. I've always kind of noticed that. It's something I've never really vocalized, but I've always kind of felt it, and I've never really known how to explain it. But that's basically what it is. Like, and I mean, the same is sort of true possibly true with most Asian, what we think of Asian cultures, like Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Vietnamese. It's not to say India is not Asian, but I mean, you get my drift.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird, man. That's weird. I don't know what to make of that. I think I'm going to leave it at that for now because my brain's tired.
I mean, there's like, I'm beginning to kind of warp out myself, but
yeah, it was a good talk, man.
You just got to understand, Japan is supercharged.
I know.
With this spiritual energy. I mean, there's a reason people are so fascinated by it.
Yeah, well, that's fair.
The natural byproduct of all of this spiritual energy is a lot of the media and the products that, we enjoy here in the West.
Yeah.
I mean, like, dude, like, I have a love-hate relationship with anime.
Sure.
Because some of it is so good, like Akira Toriyama and, Studio Ghibli, Hayao Miyazaki.
Yeah.
But every now and then you run across something, man, that's just like, what? Why?
I know. Yeah, no, I mean, the human mind is pretty twisted, dude. I mean, it is what it is, and
but it's like it's centralized, like in Japan. Like we were talking about, this strange flesh. It's like,
yep.
I don't know of any other country that comes up with crazy stuff like that. I really don't.
Not to use a pun, but it's a hotbed for it, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a hotbed.
And it's weird too because the way it's expressed is not what most other cultures would expect it to be, right? Like if you're in the Middle East, you're just going to see violence, or you're towards women or regarding sexuality and stuff like that. Here in the West, it's just kind of direct, it's just like in your face. In Latin America, it's flaunted everywhere.
Yeah.
But in Japanese culture, it's just like venerated through art, which is very freaking weird. It's a very weird way to express that stuff.
You know about shunga?
Maybe I'm not sure.
Don't look it up, but it's basically where hentai or anime pornography got its start.
Sure.
It was essentially artwork in the ukiyo-e style, like we were talking about Hokusai and the Great Wave.
Uh-huh.
These artists, including Hokusai himself, I hate to say it, made a lot of money by painting these various pornographic paintings, and people would hang them in their house for everybody to see. Like there was no real, like I mean, let's face it, growing up, if we shouldn't have been, doing stuff like that, we would hide, the magazine under the mattress, or, we'd shut the computer down. We weren't, for them,
reveling
it was like,
it.
oh, look at this magnificent piece of art. These two people are just, I mean, it was, it's always been a part of Japanese culture. Like, it's not a modern phenomenon.
What's interesting too is that you were talking about hentai, and to me, that seems like we're talking about the way that they express it is through creativity, which is drawing or visual expression. Dude, it's a veneration of hybridism.
Yep.
I mean, that's exactly what it is. It's a veneration of hybridism, which I think is probably for the Japanese largely, if not completely, well, not completely, you can never say that for anybody, but largely unknown. It's sort of like, and this is totally my opinion, nobody please take this as scripture or as canon, even close, or that you have to even begin to believe like I do. You can totally not. That's totally fine. But I feel like, and I've felt this way for the longest time, and I to me it seems to bear witness, and just like what I've talked to you about, seeing how, like the whole Akashic record idea, right? It's all written everywhere. It's all written on the actual fabric of reality that we don't get to see because of how we are, the state that we occupy. But it's the same way with like the ancient war that we never saw, that no one has really, really ever told us about. We get to read kind of cryptic mentions of it in very cryptic books. One of those books actually being the Bible, to be really honest, and the apocryphal books and things like that. But it's like ingrained in our DNA. Like it's something that our even though our minds are not conscious of exactly what happened, like it's one of those things that your being, your spirit gravitates towards, right? Like there's a reason that in the absence of actual spiritual meaning, that the American culture gravitates towards superheroes and supernatural movies and stuff. And so we're actually, in that respect, actually kind of mirroring a lot of that Japanese sentiment, because that's the way we express it. Maybe not in a cutesy tootsy kind of way, but same thing, different day, right?
Well, one of the things that I notice with a lot of this media that comes out of Japan that's overtly sexual, as far as women go, and I think Shelley kind of hit on this too, and it disturbs her about like it disturbs me.
Yeah.
Women in particular are infantilized. Like they always have like a high-pitched child's voice.
Yeah.
They're always like unaware of what's happening to them, very naive.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to take a page from the feminist playbook, but it's misogynistic the way these women are depicted, and Japanese women aren't like this. It's a pure fetish is all I can really think that it is.
Yeah.
It's disturbing.
I mean, spiritual powers are good at playing to our weaknesses. They're really, really good at that. They're really good at playing to our fancies as well, right? Like they're really good at that stuff.
Well, the pattern usually goes, like you see it advertised, and at first you're like, I wouldn't want to watch that. What is that? Why would I want to, look at this while I'm eating popcorn or something like that? And then you see it advertised again, and it's like, wonder what that's all about.
Sure.
And it's a progression, man. Like
programming.
It never takes you by surprise. That's why Scripture says, flee from it. Like the minute you see it, like if you have to go, if you see a billboard that provokes you on the way to work, find another way to get to work, because especially in our society, you're never really going to escape it unless you flee from it.
Well, that's the way the word describes when God is speaking to Cain. He says that sin is crouching at your door, and it's not like it desires to devour you. It's like it's really more like it desires to have its way with you, like which is pretty grotesque, really.
Yeah.
But that's the way it comes up, man. That's the way it comes up.
That's just like when Jesus turned around and told Peter that Satan wants to, sift him like flour.
Right.
We think of, a flour sifter, as, mom in the kitchen making biscuits and just kind of, tapping it. But that's not what sifting was in the New Testament. No, they would throw the grain onto the threshing floor and they would
beat it.
That was sifting.
Yep. Good stuff, Austin. Dude, is there anything you would like to leave some parting words?
Not really, man, except good night and God bless.
So our sign off as always, which is God bless, shalom, shalom, and maranatha. So, you know what? In the absence of Shelley today, I am going to give the Aaronic blessing because I'm almost sure I know it, but I'd rather make sure that I say it right. So, the Lord bless you guys and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face to you and give you peace. And we say, God bless.
Bless.
Shalom, shalom. And Maranatha, guys. Love you guys.
Peace with you and with your spirit.
Amen. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, man. Anytime.
Hey. Thank you for watching this episode of the Christian Theological Dark Web Podcast. For all questions, collabs, or comments, contact us at solo.to/the CTDW or the Christian Theological Dark Web @gmail.com. To become a special access member or support our ministry, sign up on Spotify or Patreon. This has been another Four Dragons production from the CTDW. God bless, shalom, shalom, and Maranatha. Come, Lord Jesus.